That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 184 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where some friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam and I'm joined today by Sam.
Sick of being surrounded by irresponsible people who call themselves podcasters who couldn't fucking manage a target.
And I'm also joined by John.
Hello. It's hard to judge whether that was Sam doing a little satirical joke or whether that was actually...
Is that a shoot or a work?
I'm going into business for myself.
Is it a shoot or a work, guys? Who knows? Who knows? It took me a second then to work out that you were joking. I fucked up the intro, and then we had to do it again. Anyway, welcome along. We've been away for a little while. Last episode we did was on the 8th of August. So we've been off for about a month. We thought that was probably what we were going to do, but we've had 2 pay-per-views. In fact, there's been 3 pay-per-views, hasn't there? I could touch...
Worlds Collide.
Worlds Collide. I read all about that earlier.
Oh.
And actually,
okay.
some of it sounded pretty damn good.
Which worlds are now colliding now that NXT UK is no longer a thing?
I say collide.
Yeah.
NXT...
205 Live isn't a thing.
It's like NXT swallowing NXT UK. Because basically, they had unification fights and no UK people won. So, for example, Bron Breakker... Is it Bron Breakker? Is that his name? Against Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate lost. The NXT Women's Champion, is it Maiko Satomura, against whoever, Liv... Is it Liv Morgan?
No,
she's the other champ.
Mandy
Rose. Mandy Rose won. B. Priestley was in there as well. The tag team, basically, every UK star lost, and that's the end of NXT UK. Anyway,
cool.
But are they going to carry on in? Does anyone know if they're going to carry on in NXT? Like, is Tyler Bate going to just be in NXT now?
NXT UK was always a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, this is the big news, I guess. Well, one of the big things since we've gone. It's going to be a ramshackle episode. We don't have loads of notes or running orders. We just thought we'd go for it. We're going to talk about the other pay-per-views. But yeah, NXT UK is dead.
Yeah. I don't think it ever took off, to be honest. I think maybe pandemic didn't help it.
Yeah, and obviously you had the speaking out stuff as well. That didn't help it.
Yeah, it just kind of... NXT UK was a nice idea when NXT was hot, but it just wasn't enough. And I think they limited themselves by calling it NXT UK rather than just NXT International or NXT Europe or... Well,
at that time they had plans to do NXT India and NXT, everywhere. Japan. Yeah.
It's hard not to be really cynical and bitter about it because... And obviously this is like pre-COVID, so it's hard to judge. But obviously the indie scene before NXT UK was fucking hot over here. Like, you could argue that the Brit Rest scene was maybe the hottest wrestling scene in the world.
Yeah, I think WWE kind of did a bit of a Man City where they kind of bought up everyone and then put them on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if I had my pure cynical face on, then yeah, I'd be like that. NXT coming and doing that absolutely fucked the scene. But COVID is pretty massive, and so is speaking out.
Yeah.
COVID and speaking out, I think, are the key things. I think WWE did right by them, having them around this long, if I'm honest.
It's surprising it lasts as long, yeah.
Easily people get fired in WWE.
It really is.
Yeah, I suppose the positive is those, and there were quite a lot of wrestlers in NXT UK. They got, I don't know what the pay situations, but they got a regular salary, which is probably more than they ever got in the indie scene. But maybe didn't make as much, but at least it was regular, secure income.
I mean, they get to come back to wrestling and say they've wrestled for WWE.
True.
They've got WWE tracksuits. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
I wouldn't mind one of them.
I don't know. It's a weird one, but I don't really blame WWE for axing NXT UK. NXT itself is a completely different animal nowadays anyway.
Pretty shit to do it like 2 weeks before the UK pay-per-view and then not to...
Is there ever a good time to do it? Like, if they had done it like a week after, it would have just been like, that was disingenuous.
I saw a tweet from Eddie Dennis saying, and it was a picture from Clash at the Castle, and it was like, there was no, no matter what's happened over the last few weeks, there's no way I was going to miss this, to see my friend Pete Dunne, who I met years ago on the indie circuit, smashing it at Clash of the Castle. coming out as Sheamus's little assistant. Like, he should have been fucking and in a big match at that pay-per-view as the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne. Eddie Dennis is having to buy his own ticket probably to get in. It's a sorry state of affairs.
Eddie Dennis is getting it.
It's so, like, Eddie Dennis, out of everyone, surely should have had some sort of place on this card. I don't understand.
I know.
Eddie Dennis has
Flash
everything.
Morgan Webster,
Yeah.
Mark Andrews, the Welsh. Come on, we're in Wales. Imagine the pop. Instead, they went all in on Sheamus. Anyway.
Get Boar on there. Oh, used to love a bit of Boar.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Tyler Bates still got a contract. There's a few. Maiko Satomura's still got a contract. There's a few, and you can understand why, because they could probably make it on the main NXT roster. But obviously, loads of people like Trent and Eddie Dennis and loads of people no longer have their contracts. But I bet they've had a fucking great time, and they've lived their dreams in many ways. So
Eddie Dennis is, in my opinion, one of the biggest losses.
Do you reckon?
I think that's a big mistake.
I liked Eddie Dennis, but I always thought he was okay.
You just know he's a friendly teacher who's kind of okay. Doesn't look quite right, bit sort of gangly. Like if I tried
feel
to wrestle.
kind of maybe a little bit biased because I think he was such a nice guy when we were doing.
Shit, he's our mate. Top bloke. Yeah, he's really hard done by. You're right.
Such a nice guy.
Oh, you say that he nearly kicked off in the quiz.
True. I'd forgotten. He probably listens. Of course he does. Most of the UK wrestlers still listen to this pod.
Top 50 UK podcast, wrestling podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, at some point in time.
Yeah, we were once. Anyway, so that's Worlds Collide done. That's good. We are actually mainly going to talk about WWE Clash at the Castle and AEW All Out. We thought about doing... Well, we never considered doing two separate pods. Basically, we knew Clash of the Castle was this weekend. I had it in my calendar, messaged the guys last week. I was like, oh, Clash of the Castle, should we do a pod? And then Sam was like, yeah, it's also All Out. And we're like, oh. So we've all watched parts of it. Some of us have watched loads more than others. But we've all got stuff to say because we're wrestling fans. So even if we haven't seen it, we'll pass comment and we'll see how we get on. So we'll start off by talking about Clash of the Castle, and we'll do that after this little break.
Bam! Right to the throat on the apron, which is the hardest part of the entire ring. We can't stress that enough.
WWE Clash at the Castle was held at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, the first major pay-per-view headline thing that's happened in 30 years. Oh, hold up. Did you guys see Triple H on This Morning?
No, I started watching that, but This Morning makes me really cringy, and it gives, for some reason, watching anything from This Morning gives me anxiety, so I can't watch it.
I started watching it and then got bored and turned it off.
Fair. I enjoyed it because it's just fun to see wrestling people in different contexts like that. Like the video that surfaced recently of Macho Man Randy Savage on Go Live.
Yeah. Oh, that was
great.
so... Oh, I've sent that to so many people. That
Can I call out... This is not the first WWE pay-per-view in 30 years in the UK.
I know. What is it then? What are they trying to say?
So they're trying to retcon that Survivor Series... SummerSlam 92 was the last big event in the UK.
It's stadium event. It may be.
But Insurrection
Oh,
from 2001 to
crikey.
2003 was held in the UK. I desperately tried to get tickets and could not, but there was one at Wembley.
At the Wembley Arena. I reckon it's that. I think I heard somebody say that. A stadium event.
I don't know. I think that's...
So the attendance for
Yeah.
Insurrection 2002 was 9,300.
What was the attendance for this? Because it looks
62,000 or 63,000.
What's the capacity of the Principality? Because
70,000. I know.
So how have they? Because obviously they're on the pitch. Effectively, they've got seatings on the pitch. So do you reckon they're like fencing off some of the upper tier seats?
That's where they keep the dragons.
Well, one thing I loved is that in one of the VTs, Drew McIntyre was like, and I get to do it in front of my home crowd, 70,000 fans. And then he comes out and it goes, oh, and the attendance is 62,000 fans. Like, oh, 8,000 didn't want to come.
Is the Principality Stadium the Millennium Stadium?
Yeah, it's the one with the roof.
Right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I knew I recognised it. I was watching it and I was just like, why are they calling it this?
Yeah, I don't know
This
when
is
the
the
name
Millennium
changed.
Stadium.
I don't know when they
This is-
changed names, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Wembley Stadium 2.
Principality sponsors, so like the O2 and the Millennium Dome type thing.
I've always wanted to go there. It does look a fucking incredible stadium.
Yeah, it's called the Principality Stadium for sponsorship reasons, is what it says. So
I hate it when that happens.
What are you talking about? I love going to the Emirates.
Oh, it just feels so cheap and dirty, doesn't it? It's just you just lose all the history.
It does. I used to try and call the Arsenal Stadium Ashburton Grove because that's kind of where it is and what it. But no, it
That
didn't
is too
stick.
douchey. That is way too douchey.
We had commentators of Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. Did you see the big news when it comes to commentary? Is that Pat McAfee has basically left SmackDown to go full time with a proper sports channel doing American football stuff. I can't remember what it is.
No way! I did not hear that.
What? No, I didn't realise that either.
I literally looked on Bleacher Report before we started recording. Apparently, he just went to Triple H and was like, "I've had this amazing offer." And he's basically not going to be around for a bit, but he's still part of the WWE universe.
Oh,
That's funny because before Pat went to WWE, he used to work for the company I work for, and he kind of just randomly up and left us to go do something with Adam Cole apparently. And
well, there you go. That's the kind of guy he is. He's joining ESPN's College Game Day as a full-time host. I mean, he is good. We've kind of come round on him a bit.
I mean, define good.
Better than
Excitable.
Michael Cole.
Hits all the things he needs to say.
I don't know.
I have come around a bit to Michael Cole recently.
I feel like generally the mood with WWE post Vince feels just a bit lighter and better.
Yes.
Everyone feels a little less chained down.
Yes.
And Michael Cole doesn't feel like a beaten dog with an old man screaming in his ear anymore.
He doesn't. I don't know whether maybe we're like projecting or reading too much in it, but he does feel a bit lighter and a bit like he's enjoying it a bit more.
Yeah. Some former NXT stars are definitely getting the rub from what I've seen. And Tommaso Ciampa's got his first name back. I saw today as well. There are changes.
Apparently everyone's getting first names back.
Yeah, Riddle has. Yeah.
Yes.
Matt Riddle. There's even talk of possibly
extra names.
Butch Pete Dunne. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, what was interesting during the Gunther match, there was loads of Walter chants going around.
So the Walter thing is funny because he can't be called Walter because that's his actual name. Right. And apparently WWE are really they're so hot on copywriting the name so that they own the property. Yeah. That someone being named their actual name is a super rarity in WWE. So, hey, that might be an argument against Pete Dunne being Pete Dunne.
Interesting.
Maybe Butch Dunne.
Pete Dunne's not. Is Pete Dunne his real name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it isn't. Peter Thomas England. Pete.
Oh, okay.
Pete England.
My God, his name is Pete England, and he changed it to Pete. Pete England is such a wrestling name.
You would have thought, yeah, if he wanted to get into WWE,
so wrestling.
He would have got there much sooner if he just kept it as Pete England. Peter England.
There we go.
Good. Hold on, let me click on Gunther now. Walter Hahn. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to keep clicking on other people to see what their real names are.
Clash at the Castle. Shall I read the card?
Yes.
Let's go. Pre-match. Pre-show. Madcap Moss and the Street Profits taking on Austin Theory and Alpha Academy.
I watched some of this live on BT.
You watched the pre-show?
No, it wasn't on BT.
Oh.
It started at 6 o'clock but went straight into the first match, which I loved.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty cool that we got to watch it. I didn't watch this live, but that's a bonus of it being in the UK. That must have been fun.
It was fun because it was the first time I've been able to drink and watch wrestling since Riptide, really.
Nice. Main card, we had Damage Control. That's Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky taking on Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka.
Nice.
You can just choose which version of Alexa Bliss we go with there.
Or all of them.
I mean, I've been trying to keep up to date with what's happening in Raw, but I have not been keeping up to with SmackDown. So when Alexa Bliss came out as a babyface, I was like, what the hell is going on here?
With weird new music and everything.
Yes.
Intercontinental Championship, Gunther, accompanied by Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, who I'm pretty sure was just... what's his name?
What was his name? Oh, God.
Fabian Eichner.
Yeah, Fabian Eichner?
Was that him? Was that...
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google it.
Guys, we used to know
We used to know shit.
Fabian Eichner.
Yeah, believe.
Look at me go.
Nice.
Italian. And now's what his name, sorry?
And now he's Giovanni Vinci.
Oh, God.
But it's cool that Imperium are on the main roster.
Yeah, for sure. Taking on Sheamus with the Brawling Brutes.
Interesting.
That's Ridge Holland and Brute Butch.
A match for the ages.
A hyperactive pair. They just give Pete Dunne a few dib dabs
SmackDown
beforehand.
Women's Championship. Liv Morgan taking on Shayna Baszler.
No.
I'm joking. It's just Baszler.
Okay.
Tag team action. Edge and Rey Mysterio, accompanied by Dominic Mysterio, taking on Judgment Day. That's Finn Balor and Damian Priest with their enforcer Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, lots of different hairstyles on show in that match.
Matt Riddle versus Seth freaking Rollins.
Yes.
And Drew Mack versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship.
How nice is it to have a 6-card pay-per-view? A 6-match card pay-per-view.
I was going to say, God, were there 5 other cards that I haven't watched?
You have to press the red button for the other cards.
Yeah. 3.5 hours. I was delighted.
Lovely.
I didn't watch all of it anyway.
Lovely stuff.
But yeah, I think that's great. I think hopefully that's one of the things that they'll start doing is just keeping things a bit tighter, maybe allowing matches to have a bit of room and having 5 or 6 matches rather than trying to squeeze everybody on. If I was going to be optimistic about things, that could be the future. Sam, do you want to talk about a particular match to kick things off? Anything that took your fancy? Should we just go straight in for the main event?
Let's just go straight in for Gunther versus Sheamus first, and then we'll go main event after.
Okay, all right.
Because Gunther versus Sheamus is the big match on this card that was actually one to come back to, and it was a real hard-hitting match.
Oh, I can feel a butt coming on here.
It didn't do it for me.
Oh, controversial take.
I don't think it really did it for me either.
Oh, where is Brett? So can we dial in Brett into this?
I don't think this was a bad match by any stretch.
No.
Like, I enjoyed it. I was into it. It just, in my opinion, like the Gunther matches I've watched in days gone past have kind of built and elevated to a point where I'm on the edge of my seat, like almost as if someone is fighting some final boss and is like surviving Gunther. And Sheamus is such a big, heavy hitter. It never really quite got to that point. It never felt like Sheamus was surviving Gunther. It just kind of felt like two titans fighting and maybe was a little bit slow.
He's bigger than him. He's taller than him and he's thicker than him because Gunther has now lost all that weight and is slightly more shredded. It doesn't really work for me. I understand why he'd want to do it.
No,
Give us some good stuff, John.
So I actually agree with the whole Gunther thing. Like, since he's lost his weight, like, fair play to him. Like, he looks fucking incredible. But I feel like he has lost a bit of his presence.
Yeah.
But for me, this match was just... I never thought I'd see a match like this on a main pay-per-view for WWE. Like, it was so hard-hitting.
Yeah.
And fair... Like, I've got a soft spot for Sheamus. I think most of us do on this pod.
Yeah.
Like, fair play to him for putting himself through that. And even at the start, like, instantly Gunther had bruises all down his ribs from like some obviously really stiff shots from Sheamus, and he carried on the whole match through that. And I love the whole way through the match, like Sheamus was going for that whole thing where he gets him in the ropes, I don't know what it's called, like the 10
beat of the Balor
yeah,
or something.
I think that was really cool. And I've like Sheamus to put himself through that. And seeing how exhausted he obviously was through it. Like, he was sweating buckets. Like, I just loved this. It felt so real. And
I felt like the match had a lot of presence. I just don't think it, like... If you were to compare this to maybe Walter Ilya Dragunov, I don't think this is a patch on that.
No, I 100% agree with that. But I would never expect to see that sort of match on WWE, like, like pay-per-view, because I think people would be cancelling subscriptions. Like, this is crazy. You can't put people through that.
I definitely did think that, actually, when I was watching it. I was like, this is great that he isn't holding back. He's doing the same stuff that he does in all the matches in terms of going for those chops and hitting hard around the neck and like everything that he was doing. I did think that. But just, as a match, like you say, it wasn't that usual story that we get told and that we enjoy in a Gunther match, which you could say is good, that we're not always getting the same formulaic stuff. But we love that. And over the years, we always have loved that. So... And it's just weird, like Sheamus being there, like the underdog, and what a hero, and at the end, oh, so close, when he's a fucking monster himself.
Oh,
Do you
that
know
was
what?
so good though. That made me quite glassy with the.
How much
I
had
had
you been
Sheamus
drinking?
going over.
Yeah.
I had Sheamus going over, and I was
Yeah.
shocked to see Gunther win with a real stiff lariat. I thought that was a good finish.
Also at the start, where like Imperium and the Brawling Brutes were having their little, and they were
yeah.
just standing there waiting for the bell, just staring at each other.
That
out.
was cool.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one other criticism I have of this, not of the wrestling itself, but it's kind of like how the forced nature of it is fit in, is the fact that it would have been, they should have just held this event in Ireland or Scotland. Holding it in Wales was a very
I agree.
weird choice for a company with no Welsh wrestlers.
Yeah. And for we'll get onto it obviously, but Drew McIntyre to be like, I'm coming home to fight in front of Brits. He doesn't give a fuck.
Like,
he wants to fight in Scotland or even England.
Just generally, like, oh my god, could you imagine like telling a Scottishman, oh no, you want to fight in England?
Well, I mean, yeah,
The big country, not the little ones.
I just thought maybe England, like Wembley Stadium, might have been more exciting. But
I just
Yeah, the
think
trouble is, Principality's the only one with a roof.
I was at Wembley on Saturday night. I was at the Taylor Hawkins concert, so
Risky though, isn't it?
There you go.
It's so risky.
They
How
couldn't
was the
have
Taylor
it.
Hawkins concert?
it's such a weird one.
it was equally as brutal as this match. I left with welts all over my chest. I didn't.
Nice.
It was more emotional.
Yeah, like the whole thing, like this is not a criticism of the match as much as a criticism of the event itself, but to me it strikes me as some American looked at all the UK and was like, oh my god, that place has a dragon on its flag, we can work with that, and didn't really.
Yeah. Quickly, go and
the
get
mark.
some video of all the different castles. Michael Cole, say that you've spent loads of money in all the pubs. I
found
He's
that
been in
bit
his hotel.
really- yeah, he's getting room service for
Yeah,
2
definitely.
nights and flying back
Yeah, he's not been in the local pubs.
down the Weatherspoons, getting some Jaeger bombs in.
What about the crowd? Pretty cool to
Crowd were hot.
hear the hot crowd saying "fuck him up, Sheamus, fuck him up," and all this stuff that you get at the BritRes shows that I've kind of missed, that you don't see in the W. You know, those American audiences know they can't really do that and shouldn't really be doing that swearing. Lots of like footy chants throughout and all that kind of stuff, which
Yeah,
I think is quite fun.
I really enjoyed the Bailey chants in the early first match.
I feel that threw them off in that match quite a bit.
Oh, it really did.
Yeah.
Massively, but I like that.
Yeah,
Me too.
Well, it's a bit of a weird one to do. Like, ooh, Bailey, will you be my
it's-
girl? It's like, well, does that what's
the-
happening here? She is the heel.
Yeah, the thing is that like last time Bailey would have wrestled in the UK, like in a big event, would have been in NXT London,
Yeah,
where that was a big chant.
I think it's
Oh,
like
Bailey one.
the English wrestling fans hearing a chant, having a few beers, and being like, "Oh, I'll get involved in that," and not actually thinking, not
Yeah.
putting thought into it, guys. Come
on,
on,
British fans, be more thematically appropriate with your wrestler chants.
unbelievable.
But yeah, Gunther Sheamus, I thought was okay.
I did.
Match
There was
of the night for me.
some slow bits.
Match of the weekend,
There was
actually.
a bad power bomb. There was a slow Celtic cross when he was trying to get him up over the. Like, there were some bits that were a little bit not really on the nose. It's decent. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed parts of it, but I expected better. Especially when you guys were like, watch that match. I thought, ooh, but that's okay.
Oh, I think this is going to be one of my matches of the years.
Wow. Okay. Should we just go straight to the main event now and then talk about the rest? Or
Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk Reigns versus Mac.
Drew McIntyre, the challenger with his big sword. Roman Reigns, the champ with nothing. No Usos, no Paul Heyman. Anyone know what's
Wow.
going on with Paul Heyman?
He's selling the injury from the Brock Roman match, isn't he? Or was it he's still selling that, I think.
You say with no Usos.
Well, yeah,
Ooh,
there was an
spoilers,
Uso.
Um,
So,
if I had to,
well, I wondered, the entrance is a bit shit. We should reference the fact that the big castle screen looked cool, but that entrance was absolutely dog shit. When you've got a
it's
big
almost
thing
like
like this,
Madison Square Garden, where they're really close to the ring and they just got. It was weird. Even like with the Gunther Sheamus thing, obviously Ludwig Kaiser was doing the intro,
yeah,
and they just zoom out a little bit and then.
that was kind of
Gunther
cool, but
was-
it was so cramped when they were trying
Yeah.
to turn into positions. But I just thought, like, even Seth Rollins coming out with his amazing gear was a bit different and a bit special. And then out comes Drew with a sword that we've seen, and then Roman comes out with the thing garland around his neck, which we've seen. Felt like it should have been made to feel a bit bigger when they were coming out. Personally, I was excited to see how they'd present Drew in his home aisles, and nothing came of it. But the crowd were fucking well up for it, chanting "Who are you?" at Roman. I thought was fucking great, and the way Roman was responding, like, "What? I'm Roman Reigns, bitch."
I think they did some really good. Maybe it's not good, but they get. I am just gonna say good. I think good job of making you think that Drew was going to win this. Like the Karrion Kross interference made it feel like to me that they were setting up a feud between Drew and Karrion Kross once Drew won. Obviously no Usos being there made it feel a bit more like Drew was going to win.
Maybe Sheamus losing makes you think, oh, maybe we'll get the rub for Drew now.
I honestly thought the whole way through this that maybe they're actually going to do it. Maybe they are actually going to put the belt on Drew here. And then when they didn't, it did feel like, oh, that sucks balls. But it does I think it makes sense because it didn't feel special enough, I think.
This match was glacial. It was one of the slowest moving, most boring things I've ever watched, and I felt all 30 minutes of it.
We've watched lots of much more boring Roman matches, it feels. But
30 minutes seems long. I wonder if that includes the weird bit afterwards.
Bye, Miss America.
I switched off.
Yeah, I fast forwarded it.
I
as soon
can't
as Tyson
stand...
Fury got involved, I was like, is anyone going to punch each other? No.
Yeah.
I can't stand Tyson Fury, and outside of seeing him box, I have no interest in watching him at all.
Same. I just expected there to be an angle there.
Yeah,
they could have kept that just for the stadium, ended it when Roman left. We didn't need to see that weird shit. And you guys didn't. But he sang the whole fucking song, and then Drew started singing.
Mate, I've seen him sing it before. Like, so he did that at the end of the second Deontay Wilder fight, and it was just like, okay, fine, but it's kind of funny.
It's like,
and now it's...
I'll put my arm around the Scottish man in Wales and sing an American song to end this pay-per-view. What?
It knocked off a few points at the final rating for this pay-per-view for me.
Yeah.
A few points. Wow.
Oh dear.
I thought this match was pretty good, especially I think the final sort of half of it was really good. I think I agree the first half was really slow, but I think the final half was pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it as well. Again, it's sort of similar to the other one. It didn't blow me away, but it wasn't awful.
To be completely honest, I don't think much on this card was to write home about. I think all of it was a little bit slow, a little bit meandering, a little bit off the pace, which I think is a real shame because I think WWE as a company are on a hot streak at the moment and are one of the most interesting propositions to watch currently. But I don't think the match is delivered. I thought the build up to Rollins Matt Riddle was fantastic, really good.
It was good.
And again, I just don't feel like the match is generally delivered. But the build up for all of them has been good.
I thought that match in particular was okay, pretty good. I still find it hard to watch Riddle matches.
So that's funny because I watched that match like kind of fast forwarding a bit using the 10-second fast forward on the network, and I was like, wow, this match seems fucking great. But maybe because I was skipping slow bits.
I mean, I think it was probably my match of the card.
Yeah. Crazy, I didn't realise that Matt Riddle's wife and kids had left, but now I know because it's part of the storyline.
I love that. Absolutely love that bit. That was such a good...
Well, the end of the press conference, or the bit where they're talking to each other, and then there's like, Riddle, are you still there? It was so good.
So good. Really good.
Yeah. Seth Rollins, I think, is absolute top class. I really do.
Yeah, I feel like he's been on a hot streak for a while, though, right?
I think he's kind of in that middle to upper tier where he should be at the top, in my opinion.
I can't believe they haven't done more with him and Roman. Like, they've got so much history. It feels like it is.
I know.
They'll get there.
They had that whole... The thing is that we're back at the same conversation we're always having, which is who's going to dethrone Roman at this point?
Yeah.
There's literally not really anyone who's credible.
Well, I disagree. I think they've actually done a good job with building up. Drew, I think, is credible. Cody Rhodes, when he comes back, credible. Mm-hmm. Seth Rollins could be credible.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
My
with
guy.
He's already lost.
My guy. He's back. I mean, we should have kicked off the whole fucking episode.
Braun is back.
Do you love the way that he was straight back in and he was into a program with the tag team wrestlers that were in the pre-show of this event? But he's back, guys. He's fucking back. He's got red trousers. He's shaved off his little weird spiky bits on his head. He stopped tweeting.
Has he disavowed all of his weird views?
Yeah, he's not too worried about controlling the narrative. The narrative can do what it wants for the minute.
Oh,
maybe some people, it's better for the narrative to control them.
Is he allowed to have business interests like that outside of W?
Well,
no, he's gone. He's gone from.
I'm pretty sure from following his Instagram, he's still involved in a mental health charity, so good for him, even though it's very funny watching him do his videos and try and read a script. And he's still got some sort of peanut butter and nut butter company that he helps promote. But now he's on that big money, so he's paid off his ranch. He's moved into his ranch, just for a little update if people don't follow him on Insta. Lots of like brushed metal and animal hides and stuff like that.
Guns? How many guns?
Probably like a whole panic room full of guns. And he.
Would you need a panic room if you're Braun Strowman?
I was going to say.
I feel like I need a panic room because of Braun Strowman.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. But he's back, and I am happy that he's back. And I guess he could get put into a position where he could be a credible opponent.
He's not credible. I don't mind Braun being,
and he's not a good wrestler,
back, but he's not credible.
At one point, he was. They did build him up to that.
I think you're entirely right, John, saying Cody Rhodes is the next champion. He's the one who's being built up, and it'll basically be around WrestleMania time. So
yeah,
I don't know. Cody to win the Royal Rumble and then go to win.
Yeah, that feels like the most logical path, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think kind of introducing Solo Sikoa to this as like the cop out. I thought it was a real damp squib of an ending.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
Were we supposed to know him? Like, had he turned up on anything else?
I'm sure if we watched NXT, we would know him.
But they know no one's watching NXT.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I didn't mind it. I don't mind a bit of interference and a ref getting knocked out. And
it's when we get to the next pay-per-view and they have to like bring back Rikishi just to do the save or something like that. You know?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the fucking...
Well, for a very split second, because of the bloodline thing and I was like, hold on, I reckon... Oh, no. Like, I think part of my brain went, is that Rikishi? But then the rational part of it was like, no, of course it's fucking not.
Yeah, I thought it was one of Guerrillas of Destiny for a second.
Oh, mad. Anyway, so, yeah, that's Drew versus Roman. Kind of talked about. Obviously, we've got the whole of All Out to talk about. So any other quick things you want to touch upon? The women's match at the start, the 3-on-3.
Didn't grab me that match except for the Io Asuka stuff. I thought the rest of that stuff was really boring.
Okay, anything?
Totally fine.
Anything for you, Sam? Any other matches? I'm trying to think what else happened.
I actually quite enjoyed Mysterio and Edge versus Judgment Day.
No, that was the other match I enjoyed as well. I thought bell to bell really good.
I thought it was pretty good. Was happy to see Dominic turn on his dad and be Rhea's simp.
Do you know why though? Cool. Why has Dominic turned?
Because Rage decided to team with Edge rather than
him.
Him.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then, like, when they were celebrating, it was like, yeah, us two old guys have done it. And meanwhile, Dominic Mysterio is kind of maybe doing something with Rhea Ripley, where she's like his dominatrix and he's a gimp or something.
Buddy Murphy's not going to be happy about that.
There's stuff going on about here.
This.
I don't know. Rhea is his puppy.
That sounds like a dream scenario for me.
Couldn't believe the pop Edge got. Like, maybe the pop of the night. Like, he was so over.
They fucking love Edge, don't they?
Yeah.
It was a good match, though.
Yeah.
Edge looks so much better with shorter hair as well.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a homeless person. Whereas Dominic's hair is not good, and he does not have the charisma to pull any of this off. He can't do a solos run. We'll have to wait and see. But
I think maybe being the baby in a faction could work for him.
Maybe being the gimp.
Give him that Chase Owens role for a little while. See where he goes with that.
If they do full gimp suits, so you can't even see him talk or emote, then yeah, that'll be good. A little ball gag.
Let's start a campaign. Make Dominic a gimp.
Okay. Hashtag.
Cool.
Not very
Hashtag
catchy.
Get that trending.
Dom sub.
Oh,
Dom sub.
Hashtag Dom subs.
Perfect.
Let's go.
Okay, and that wraps up our review of WWE Clash at the Castle.
Star performer.
You guys go, John. Have you got something?
Gunther.
Oh, ooh. Okay, well that makes sense considering what you said. What do you reckon, Sam?
Yeah, Sheamus.
Okay. I think I'm going to go for Seth Rollins. The entrance.
Cool.
And he's just been great from what I've seen. And I did skip through some of the match.
You skipping to fast forward.
From the bits I've seen
this
in
guy
that
is
match,
fast.
he looked fucking great. Okay. I mean, you can tell where we're at. Everybody listening knows where we're at with wrestling at the moment. In the old days, we would have done an hour and a half on this pay-per-view. Let's have a quick
another
break.
20 matches to go through.
Score out of 10?
Score out of 10. Let's not have a break. Let's do a score out of 10. I cannot review this properly because I watched two matches in full and skipped through the rest, so it feels unfair for the spreadsheet.
7.5 feels like a cop-out, but it also feels about fair to me.
It feels high to me, but Sam...
7.5. Oh, wow.
Tyson Fury singing American Pie.
Didn't watch that
Yes, solid 5, in my opinion.
bit. Some people online are calling this pay-per-view of the year. And Sam comes in there. Boom, 5.
I've watched 17 wrestling matches over the last 2 days.
6.25 average, is that?
6.25 average. It was perfectly fine, I guess.
It did feel a bit like an exhibition because no titles changed hands and all that stuff, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
AEW. My God, that card.
Well,
Fucking hell.
let's have a break. Let's let these guys calm down a little bit, and we'll be back shortly to talk about AEW All Out 2022.
Hardest part of the ring, and Sami Zayn able to dodge that catastrophe.
AEW All Out 2022 was held at the Now Arena, Hoffman Estates, Illinois, and had the usual people on comms, who are JR. Was JR even there?
Tony Schiavone.
He was at the end,
little bit.
I think, yeah.
Taz.
Okay, I just scrolled down on the Wikipedia and they don't have the comms section like the WWE ones do. And there are a fuckload of matches. Sam's going to rattle through them now.
We're not going to go through all the pre-match matches. We've got 15 matches if we include those. We're just going to go straight in. We had the Casino Ladder match with Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Penta El Zero, Miedo, Rey Fenix, Rush, not Rush, Andrade El Idolo, Dante Martin, and the Joker. We had the finals of the AEW World Trios Championship with the Elite, that's Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, taking on the Dark Order, that's Hangman Adam Page and Alex Reynolds, John Silver. Had a singles match for the TBS Championship of Jade Cargill versus Athena. 6-man tag action, Wardlow and FTR taking on Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Ricky Starks. Swerve and Our Glory taking on the Acclaimed for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Interim AEW World's Women's Championship, Tony Storm versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida.
Why is that interim, just quickly?
Thunder Rosa's injured.
Okay, everyone hates Thunder Rosa, right? That's what I've heard.
She's apparently quite stiff.
Okay.
And also
Shockers.
doesn't sell for anyone,
Yeah.
apparently. Christian Cage taking on Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Bryan Danielson taking on Chris Jericho. Darby Allin, Sting and Miro taking on House of Black. That's Malachi Black, Brody King and Buddy Matthews. And then the main event is Jon Moxley defending his AEW World Championship against CM Punk.
There is so much to talk about outside of this pay-per-view that I want to talk about. What do we talk about with the pay-per-view, though?
Okay, so I think maybe we just go straight to CM Punk, Jon Moxley as the main event. Actually, very quickly, World Trios Championship, the Elite taking on Dark Order. Really good match, really nice storytelling.
Hold on,
Really
so
good
this
match.
is a tournament. So they've had another fucking tournament and they've got some more new
Another
belts.
fucking belt.
This tournament has been banging.
Okay.
It's been so good. They've done, like, AEW for ages have had enough trios tag teams to be able to justify this. They did a Rampage block, they did a Dynamite block.
Ooh, okay.
It was really good. I've watched a lot of this tournament and all of the matches were engaging and interesting.
There's just
But
too
they're
much.
not-
It's too much. It's
Yeah.
too much of a good thing. I'm finding this stressful to be like, well, that sounds great and the wrestlers are great and that tournament sounds great, but there's too much. There's too much
I mean,
good
the
stuff.
fact there are 15 matches on this fucking card is insane.
Okay, so, yeah, like...
I mean, Eddie Kingston versus
actual-
Ishii, that match would have excited us so much years ago, and that's just
Fucking
on the
pre-show, mate. Pre-show.
The card itself, there's too many matches. It's way too much. Like, this is the number one pay-per-view of the year for AEW. It needs to be over 2 days.
And I saw a video that Action Bronson came out during the Hook match. That should be huge.
This I think this is you can see this on I feel like this on Dynamite recently as well. It's just really scattergun, and it lacks focus, AEW at the moment.
It's bursting at the seams with way too many people, and perhaps that's going to be reduced significantly.
Big personalities
by the time this comes out.
And I think we all get the impression that Tony Khan finds it hard to control people or say no or say anything.
So, the trios match, the Elite versus Dark Order, really good match, worth checking out. Great storytelling with Kenny and Hangman. It's a real nice kind of bookend to that story as well with Hangman and the Elite.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Casino ladder match. So happy I didn't have to watch this. Always bored of them.
That was
Casino ladder match.
Stupid
it was
rules.
fine, but no one in that match was obviously going to win it.
Right.
Yeah.
Cesaro.
It was always going to be the Joker who was going to win it.
And to be fair, it pays
the
off.
Reveal.
Yeah, was really cool.
Really good.
Who's the Joker
really
again,
good.
please? So I didn't watch this, listener. I didn't watch any of this.
So let's explain the Casino Battle Royale. Obviously, kind of like you have 8 men fighting after like a poker chip, which gives them a shot at the title.
Yeah.
And it gets to the end of the match. We've had all the normal kind of spots, all the ladders jumps and all that. And all of a sudden, the joke, basically a bunch of masked men all come out, deck the entire field, and one of the masked men climbs up, grabs the poker chip. He then takes off his mask, revealing he's Stokely Hathaway, who was the manager of Diamond Mine in NXT. I can't remember his name when he was in NXT.
I would not have recognised him, but okay.
I had no idea who it was either, Adam. Yeah.
He's a really
Malcolm
good manager.
Bivens.
Malcolm Bivens, thank you. He's really charismatic, really good manager. Anyway, he's been kind of collecting wrestlers over the last few weeks or so for his stable. And he reveals that he's picked up the Casino Battle Royale chip, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And like all the wrestlers remove their masks, revealing them to basically be the upper mid card of Impact.
Oh, what?
It's Morrissey in there, wasn't he?
More people.
Big cast.
So it's just got a big collection of kind of mid-card floundering wrestlers. And then the Joker comes out wearing a devil's mask coming out to
Oh my God.
Rolling Stones.
I can see a picture of it now. That mask is amazing.
Oh, is it Sympathy for the Devil they come out? Is it?
Sympathy for the Devil, thank you.
White mask.
So, yeah,
Horns.
a Joker comes out in a really cool devil mask, collects the Casino Battle Royale chip from Stokely, teases taking off the mask but doesn't, and leaves the ring. And it's just like, okay, well, that was weird.
Yeah.
And then the pay-per-view continues for 4 fucking hours.
And then do we find out who it is?
Well, we go to our main event, CM Punk taking on John Moxley. So CM Punk and John Moxley were both champion. Moxley was interim champ,
But
CM Punk was world champ.
this is so exciting. I'm not going to watch any wrestling ever. You guys watch all of it, and then you tell me. It's really great.
This is it. You've got the abridged audio version of AEW now. CM Punk was champion but injured his foot, so Moxley became interim champ. They had a unification bout a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite, and Moxley squashed Punk in about a 5-minute match. Absolutely destroyed him. Punk had an injured foot, hurt it. Moxley took advantage and beat the ever-living crap out of him, becoming the undisputed AEW World Champion.
Okay.
So we get to All Out. And
Well, is there
the main
important bit in Dynamite before where they were unsure whether Punk would be able to wrestle this, and this guy that's going to become relevant after we talk about this, Ace Steel, right? He comes out and says, you must fight this match.
So a lot is going on at the moment. CM Punk is kind of feuding with everyone, to put it lightly.
Even people he's not supposed to be feuding with. Yeah, I've read some of that.
Punk is kind of going off on one at the moment, and the crowd are not on board with a lot of this.
Even in Chicago.
Anyway, so we get to All Out, and like, I'm not kidding you, like maybe a few days before All Out, no one is really sure what the main event is of All Out, which is insane for your biggest show of the year.
Yeah.
Jim Ross is like going onto social media saying this isn't very good optics.
Right.
And he's right. Like, kind of to John's point, AEW lacking a focused approach. You can't be going... Could you imagine WWE going into WrestleMania being like, yeah, main event, we'll figure it out.
No. But that's because every main event's Roman Reigns, but yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Anyway, so it turns out the main event of All Out is going to be CM Punk challenging again for the World Championship against Jon Moxley. Great. Come out to the ring. They have a barnstormer of a match. CM Punk's best match in AEW, I reckon.
Okay.
Real stiff, real heavy hitting, bloody for CM Punk. The crowd are white hot for this.
Yeah.
And CM Punk wins. He goes over.
Yeah.
And it's like, bam. Like, Jon Moxley has been maybe one of the most dominant wrestlers of the last year in AEW. He's been on fire.
Best thing in AEW for a long time.
Really, really good match.
Okay.
And Punk wins. And it's like, there you go. Here's our champ. Then the lights go out.
Oh, yes.
The lights go out and we get the classic AEW, what the fuck is going on here? Crowd going hush. And all of a sudden, the devil from the Casino Battle Royale match.
Yeah.
The Joker.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He comes on screen. He plays a voicemail. He plays a voicemail on screen first, right?
Oh.
And it's a voicemail of CM Punk
No.
phoning someone.
Tony Khan.
No? Oh, sorry, Tony Khan. Sorry, it's Tony Khan saying, "This is my final offer. I need you to just be in this match.
Right.
I'll pay you whatever you want. This is it." Then all of a sudden, it cuts to a shot of CM Punk in Ring of Honor when he first started his career, saying, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist."
Right. Okay.
Then the devil himself, the Joker, comes on screen and he turns around and he puts on a Burberry scarf.
Wow.
And he removes the mask, revealing MJF.
I didn't know MGF wasn't around anymore, though.
And the lights come on.
When did MJF
And
leave?
the music plays and MJF flips off the crowd. The crowd are going nuts and are chanting for MJF.
Wow.
And that's All Out. And that is a fantastic ending to a pay-per-view. That had me on the edge of my seat.
And it's what we should all be talking about now.
And it is what we should all be talking about. And if this was all that happened over this weekend, this would be a 9 out of 10 pay-per-view. Maybe, actually, that's probably generous for the amount of matches.
Yeah.
This would be a solid 7.5 out of 10 pay-per-view for this weekend. And what an ending.
So, but we've had MJF Punk. But it wasn't for the title.
Yeah, but we haven't
had
title.
MJF have a title.
And he has been out
And
for age like 6 months or so since.
There was a huge thing with, I don't know, it's been a long time, but MJF was like flirting with WWE and stuff. Like,
yeah, I remember that stuff. And then that's kind of when I stopped watching for a bit.
And like, people were talking about like MJF no showing Dynamite, stuff like that. This will all come in relevant later. Just quickly to go back to All Out.
Yes, before we get on, because there are a load of matches in between. So there
are an absolute shit ton of matches. I have to call out Swerve and Our Glory versus The Acclaimed. The Acclaimed are white hot at the moment. They
I don't know how they are
amazing. Okay, so it's all to do with this whole joke about them basically pulling Billy Gunn over to their side. That is basically it, and he's been going by Daddy Ass.
Okay,
for a while
that's
now.
Enough for me.
And The Acclaimed have basically just been saying "Scissor me, Daddy Ass," and the crowd love it.
Okay. I'm really happy to see that Keith Lee and Swerve are tag team champs. Is Keith Lee bossing it?
Keith Lee and Swerve should have lost this match, and not only that, they go into this match as faces and they come out of it booed because people want The Acclaimed to win that much.
Right.
And it's like, this is Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Like, these are two shit hot wrestlers who people love, and people still wanted The Acclaimed to win. The match is one of the best ones I've seen this year.
Wow.
The story is brilliant. The wrestling is excellent. The crowd are electric. Easily the best match I watched this weekend by a mile.
Okay. John, do you want to pick out any of the other matches on the card just for a highlight before we talk about
No, I
the big
only
story?
watched the first two, so the ladder match and the triples and the main event.
Okay. Yeah, looking at this card now, it seems like, Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks, that could headline and Dynamite. It's a big story, I guess, with the faction, but that doesn't need to be on here.
I only given it 5 minutes. There's so many matches on the card that I only given like a couple.
And also,
minutes.
A lot of matches here could have been cut.
Christian Cage defeated Jungle Boy in 20 seconds, according to Wikipedia.
Well, yes, but also Luchasaurus spent about 5 minutes beating the ever-living shit out of Jungle Boy before the match.
And I think Christian Cage has got an injury as well, which is why.
So hold on.
Yeah.
So I know that Cage had turned on Jungle Boy, but I didn't know Luchasaurus had teamed with Cage.
Well, Luchasaurus teamed with Cage, then went back to Jungle Boy, but now he's back with Cage.
Lucha.
Fickle.
Yeah.
Just like a dinosaur.
He's the big show of AEW.
He is. You can't get to 7'2" without a few faces.
Hold on. AEW have a big show. What does he do? Doesn't he still do comms
what he's doing
on Dark?
He's probably on Dark.
Yeah.
He's probably on like a 16 match unbeaten run on Dark.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. And then just to see, I've heard some rumours about Malachi Black waving at the crowd, saying goodbye or something.
Yeah, apparently he might be taking some time out. I saw some stuff around that as well.
There's some stuff going on.
He asked for his release, didn't he? And then that was denied.
House of Black hasn't really landed.
He's asked for his release.
This is what the rumour mill was saying a few weeks ago, that he asked for his release.
Maybe Triple H is like,
Tony said no.
Come back and we'll do big things.
Absolutely passable match at best.
I feel like, it's just looking at this, like, to see Cesaro in that and like Andrade, wrestlers that we would have been really excited about joining this roster, in that match, like the Casino Ladder match with that amount of talent. And it is cool to have a roster full of talent, but it doesn't really work, does it? You can see why you need people like
too many Manes, not enough Milners.
Yeah, you're right. Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson. Any good?
A little bit slow in my opinion.
Not surprising, actually, to be honest with you. Might have been a good match 10 years ago. Nothing to do with Bryan Danielson, of course. All right, let's talk about the main event.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the main event, which was the post-conference
match,
where one man had 8 cans of... What was he drinking? That's what I want to know.
Some sort of juice.
He was lining up cans of some fizzy drink, and he had loads of...
Whatever he was drinking, it makes me question whether he was really straight edge, because he drank a lot of it and there was some opinions that came out here.
He was eating brownies and cupcakes. He was shouting out bakeries. It was a very weird diet to accompany his tirade.
It's almost as if he thought, do you know what, I'm going out anyway, I might as well eat all the chocolate.
Yeah, I suppose if you're straight edge, that's where you get your fix, right? For sugar
and coffee. Yeah.
So straight up, like, we've all seen the media scrum. Where do we lie on pro CM Punk or no CM Punk? Is he in the right?
No.
I don't think he's in the right at all.
No. I'm pro it for the drama and enjoying it and being like, he's so good at this kind of shit.
I can't stop reading about it.
I've no surprise that everybody thinks he's a prick. Like,
no.
I can totally get that. If I was in the industry, if I was in that locker room, I'd think, fuck's sake.
What I find crazy is the catalyst for all of this is like a Hangman Page promo from nearly a year ago, like a tiny little line.
Insane, absolutely insane.
Punk's been injured for a while. It's just he's just been festering on this. Like, it's been mulling it over, just obsessing about it. It's weird.
The whole thing is, he's not mad about that. He's mad about the Colt Cabana stuff.
Is he? Yeah, but
like, the whole promo press conference was basically, he was mad because he felt like the Elite leaked to the press that Colt Cabana had been moved to Ring of Honor on the CM Punk's kind of request. This is the whole thing, because he wants to put the whole Colt Cabana CM Punk thing behind him, but he doesn't really, because he absolutely buried the shit out of Colt Cabana, who, credit to Colt, do you know what he's done?
Just said
he's
nothing.
Done
nothing. He said nothing about this, hasn't he?
And there's a lot to say for someone who's willing to basically just get on with life.
He knows it's not worth it, probably. When you deal with people like CM Punk, sometimes it's just not worth it.
If you go back to the Brody Lee Memorial show, there was one person who was literally in literal tears over Brody Lee's passing when wrestling that night, and that was Colt Cabana. He is a wrestler's wrestler. He absolutely adores the business of wrestling. He's never made it beyond the little
He's one of us
bingo
as well.
halls.
He's a wrestling podcaster. He's one of us.
He absolutely loves wrestling.
Yeah.
And the crowds, the wrestlers love him. He's a real kind of, yeah, like one of the wrestlers. And so this whole unpleasantness with CM Punk was so sad when it happened, and it was just real, like, you know what, you two were friends and you fell out over money, and that sucks, but that happens.
Yeah.
But like, that was nearly 10 years ago, and I'm not being funny, that both of them are doing all right for themselves. They're making absolute gangbusters. CM Punk presumably making significantly more than Colt Cabana. Let it go.
It does feel so childish.
Go.
Yeah, just get over it. Just move on.
Like, and the thing is that Colt Cabana is holding himself in high esteem by just not saying anything and just getting on with things. Meanwhile, CM Punk seemed just like an absolute fucking prick, being in a press conference, like calling him out like you share a bank account with your mother. What the hell does that even mean?
Like, holding on to all this anger and hate, is it doing CM Punk any good? Is it making him feel good about himself? Just let it go, man.
So even if he did get Cabana moved, what do you think about the whole Bucks releasing it to the press or whatever? Do you think that's true? Do you think?
No.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like, even if it is true, I don't, like, who cares? Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I would say actually, who cares? Like, it was one of those stories where I saw it, I was like, okay, fine.
I've got to say, I did quite enjoy.
Like, Colt Cabana feels like he belongs in Ring of Honor. To be honest, seems like a good place for him.
I did quite enjoy him going into the Young Bucks, because even though I have turned and I'm a fan of their wrestling now, I still think I'm still not sure about their whole involvement and the power that they've had in the early days.
Right, yeah. So I mean, there is a level of sympathy I have for CM Punk in the fact that, let's be honest, they call themselves the Elite.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, they're great wrestlers, but my goodness, is it arrogant and is it kind of elitist?
Oh, but that is wrestling though, right? That's the gimmick.
It is wrestling. It is wrestling. I mean, let's face it, they're a bunch of Shawn Michaels.
But they're very much like, almost like millennials compared to CM Punk's, boomer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the
CM
situation.
Punk boomer, surely Gen X.
It does feel a little bit of that generation.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I can understand that. I think the Elite, I think kind of the top of AEW, your Young Bucks, your Kenny Omegas, all of that, I think if you're not in with them, they would be really against you. I think they'd be real difficult. Just the popular crowd is how I would describe them.
Yeah, maybe.
And I don't know, like, at the end of the day, like, none of this is worth getting into literal fist fights over, you know?
So so obviously the story is that there was a big fight backstage, chairs were thrown, people have got black eyes.
Yeah. Can we just talk a bit? Sorry, go on. I
was going to say, is there any thinking that this might be a work?
I think there's always elements of work added to this stuff. I think it's real, but I wouldn't be surprised if some things are getting, exaggerated, or certain things are being leaked. Or
is AEW is at a bit of a crossroads, in my opinion, at the moment, and I think this event could be the undoing of it entirely.
Do you reckon?
I think so. Or this could be their Brett screwed Brett attitude era moment.
Yeah, I mean, although we criticise them for having such a big roster, the good thing about having a big roster is that realistically they could lose all of these people involved and still have a killer roster.
It'd be great news for quite a few of those. So, I mean, that's the problem in a way, because then there'll be people like, oh, let's stir the pot, and hopefully there'll be some fallout, and then I might get a couple of better shots or a better place on the card next week.
I mean, the thing is that whatever happens, it's the ball is in Tony Khan's court, and he needs to act, because at the moment he looks like a lost child who is
he was pathetic. And I'd be exactly the same, but then I'm not. I don't want that role. Like, I'd be intimidated by seeing.
I did feel sorry for him.
The way he was sat there,
I couldn't stop.
His eyes, and he was like shaking, and he was like, you could tell he wanted to sort of tell him to stop, but also he's his champion, and if CM Punk goes on a mad one and says "fuck it, I'm leaving," that's not.
Bottom
good
line
news.
is, this is the difference between wanting to play CEO and being CEO. It's all very well like when you're friends with everyone and everyone's getting along and all of this, but this is kind of like the guy who we used to work for, where he tries too hard to be everyone's friend, and it's just like, you need to stop being that Michael Scott, that David Brent style person, and you need to be a boss.
Yeah, stop signing up all your favourite wrestlers and giving them all great contracts and promising them the world. And
he's got a real
it's not a
opportunity at the
computer
moment
game.
to set things right. He needs to, in my opinion, put the strap onto MJF as soon as possible.
There was rumours going around even today, yesterday, they're going to fire CM Punk for this.
There's rumours are still going around at the moment. Like,
Yeah,
That'd be
because
so good.
Punk's
Mad.
not going to accept losing the belt after winning and then getting injured.
don't think firing CM Punk would be a good move.
No, but
I think it'd be okay, actually.
it looks like it'd be.
I think
it's an
the
impossible
crowd
situation.
are against him. I think they need to turn CM Punk heel as soon as possible. But Tony Khan needs to go backstage and have a long chat with everyone. But
I think it's too late for that. I think it's become far too toxic.
I think turn CM Punk heel as soon as possible. Have him drop the belt to MJF or whatever. Put him in a monster feud with Kenny Omega. And just make money off this, because there's obviously a lot of potential here, in my opinion.
I will feel really gutted that if we've had this CM Punk come back and we haven't had CM Punk versus Kenny.
It's mad that they've got Kenny Omega, CM Punk, John Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho. I mean, Chris Jericho isn't top level, but he is in terms of a name. The stars they've got, you're right, any of them could just go.
The thing is, Jericho has been praised out of all of this as being a level head backstage.
I bet.
When Chris Jericho, who donates shitloads of money to the Donald Trump presidential campaign, is your level head, you need to have a few more level heads.
Oh, I can't wait to see what happens.
I am absolutely, excuse the pun, all in.
Exactly.
Dynamite's tonight, guys.
AEW.
Imagine the eyes are going to be on Dynamite, and like you said, imagine the eyes are
nothing's
going to
happen. I think
being
Nothing's
the
gonna happen
elite
this week.
Nothing happened in being the
has
elite.
already come out. They wouldn't. It's not worth it, is it? Like if they put in some sort of snidey comment, what's the point?
But it's almost like not putting in something is like admission that there's something really serious at play here.
True.
I don't know. I'm super like coming out of this weekend. I'm most invested in AEW because of all of this carnage and chaos, and I think it is both a crying shame that kind of the biggest event of wrestling over the weekend was a press conference, but also it's like, damn, this is what I watch wrestling for, is the drama, and this is top drama.
Really, I'm slightly different. Like, I can't stop reading about this, but it doesn't make me want to watch Dynamite.
Oh, really? Because we could be entering, like, in my opinion, we could be entering Attitude Era, or we could be entering WCW Era.
Yeah, there are definitely.
It feels like it's really on the precipice at the moment, and I'm fascinated to see where it goes.
Star performer.
Can we just quit? Oh, CM Punk.
Star performer, John?
I only watched 3 matches. I feel it'd be harsh to say. I mean,
I'm
it was
actually-
amazing
I
to
picked
see Kenny Omega back in the ring, actually. I really enjoyed that.
Do you know who actually I'm going to call out for star performer is Anthony Bowens, because, man, I normally go hard on tag teams where I think someone is not pulling their weight.
You certainly do.
Anthony Bowens pulled his weight.
I need to go back and
And
watch
then
that.
some.
now.
Good.
Worth watching. Can I quickly run through the people who CM Punk insulted this weekend, and just see where we lie on these guys?
Yep.
Okay, Colt Cabana, yay or nay?
I like Colt Cabana.
I don't really care, but he seems like an alright bloke.
Okay, cool. Kenny Omega,
Love him.
Of course we love Kenny.
the Bucks,
Love him.
I love him, but I don't mind seeing them getting beat up and embarrassed.
Hangman.
Oh, how can you hate Hangman, though, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, Hangman just seems like such a perfect, lovable person.
Yeah. He's the Brett of AEW.
Oh, yeah. MJF.
We love MJF. Come on, he's the
Yeah.
future of the business.
Cool. And then, I suppose Colt Cabana's mum as well.
I fucking hate that bitch. Score out of 10. Are we saying surely we need at least 2 ratings to get an average.
I was going to say, I can't be responsible for scoring this on my own.
But then better than no score.
Oh, guys.
Go on, Sam.
Okay.
I can't, because there's too many matches. 6.
Let's give Sam the responsibility. 6. Okay, go on then. Let's have a 6. What's your score, Sam?
Sorry, I'm just filling it out on the spreadsheet. Give me a second.
Spreadsheet admin. It's the section with the spreadsheet admin. That's the new jingle.
Is that Catch the Pigeon?
Maybe.
Was very similar.
Didn't mean it to be.
We might get a copyright on that.
Ah, fuck.
What did you give?
DMCA.
6?
I didn't give anything, but yeah, John gave a 6.
I feel like
6.
I'm not sure how I can give it a 6. But.
Ah, fuck it. The whole podcast's gone to shit. Just fucking shove it in the spreadsheet, see what happens. Come on. Yes.
Giving you a 6 for that. Okay, I'm going to say that all out was probably a 7.
Okay, 6.5 average. Wow. So it beats Clash at the Castle by 0.25. So, and generally, we get a 6.25 and a 6.5. Look who made the right decision not watching all that wrestling. You suckers. No, I'm joking, because it's really appreciated that you did watch loads of it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to discuss all this stuff.
Can I just say I'm going to give the press conference a 9?
Okay.
I couldn't even watch all of it. I watched 12 minutes and then I thought, this is getting too much for me.
I was like, yeah, is this real? I was like, fuck, this is real.
Yeah, I can't believe people were thinking it was work. Just look at Tony's face. Like, unless he is fucking Al Pacino and we don't know it. Like,
Oh, Tony. Must be a tough position to be in, hey? Being that fucking mega rich.
rich, yeah. Oh, poor old Tony.
Cool. All right. Well, that is it for this month's episode. Are we going to say that? Who knows? Of Hardest Part of the Ring.
Sure.
If you want to get in touch with us, we have some information. We're at Hardest Part Pod on the socials. What's our email, John?
hardestpartofthering@gmail.com.
And Sam, if people want to buy us a coffee, virtual coffee.
Right. They can go to co-fi.com/HPOTR.
Or Hardest Part Pod. Try both.
See which one works. See if you want to buy a coffee for a podcast that maybe will come out once a month.
Who knows?
As we go into business for ourselves.
As we go into our hibernation, our autumn hibernation. No, there'll be another Big Four pay-per-view or a top 5 or something that'll bring us out. We're just not going to be as regular, but you guys know that anyway. If you are listening and sticking with us, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We still get decent download numbers, and we appreciate every single one of you for putting up with our bullshit each episode. And we will be back when we'll be back. But until then, is goodbye from me, Adam. Goodbye, Sam.
See you later.
And goodbye, John.
Goodbye.
That was the Hardest Part of the Ring. A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile.
That is the hardest part